You are streaming the future of radio, SongCast. This is the Christian Gospel Spotlight. My name's Joe Cleon, and I am proud to present our featured artist for this program, Mr. Jackson Taylor from Detroit, Michigan. We are going to showcase a couple different sides of Jackson Taylor, some storytelling, and also some religious, soul-inspiring stuff. Going to start off with some stories about Barkersville. This first track is called Barkersville, The Hairy Visitor. It is Jackson Taylor. It is true music discovery. Indie music, indie artists from around the world on SongCast.
It was another great day in Barkersville. And Boxer was looking for some more news. He loved what he was doing, and he just wanted to see what he could find. Went everywhere, wagging his tail, digging around, finding out, looking everywhere. Ears were hooked up. And then he found out something. There was news in Barkersville. They had a big, hairy visitor. It was big. It had it wasn't a lion. And he had a big mouth, hair, long claws. He would claw things, and he would climb trees. And the dogs at Barkersville was afraid. They knew they couldn't climb trees, but this hairy thing went and climbed around. He kind of liked eating dogs. And they looked around. They asked, and they said, "A bear's here. We're all going to be eaten." They didn't know what to do. They stayed in their dog houses, wondering if the bear would come into their doghouse and claw down and reach inside their dog houses and take away everything they've got and devour them alive. It was scary in Barkersville. Some of them were weeping, wondering where the bear was going to go away. They'd watch it run, skip, and their tails be behind their two back paws, and they'd be looking. So they got in a council there in Barkersville, and the dogs all got together and said, "We got a problem here. The bear's still here, and it won't leave." So they all, rah. And one raised an hand, got up, and says, "I hear over there in Feline City where the cat kind live," said one wide-haired terrier, pointer, farm dog, says, "They got an animal over there, and this animal, well, the bears don't like this kind of animal." They all looked at him, said, "Whoa." They'd even say it backwards. "Wow." They'd even spell it backwards. "Wow." It was a new discovery there in Barkersville. And then they run. And I said, "That's enough. Order in my business meeting of this government of Barkersville. I want everything quiet." And then they got quiet. One suggested, "We can't go over to feline cities. Those little scaredy cats would be afraid of that bear. We don't want him, and we don't want those fraidy cats to help us. You know what we did with the Harari, had to put them away. If we have to go to them," and I said, "We really think we should get somebody that's not afraid of anything." And they said, No, we're not letting anybody out of our prison or our jail city. This is our city, and we don't want that to happen." Round and round they went. I said, "Quiet." And the wire-haired terrier farm dog stood up. He pointed with his nose over there, his tail's up. They knew what that meant. There's a animal there over there in the zoo there called a raccoon. Bears don't like the smell of a raccoon. We could borrow the raccoon from one of their that zoo over there. I think we could get rid of the problem real quick." And they said, "Huh? I don't know." We heard a lot of stories, wide-haired pointer farm dog. And he said, just believe me. Bring the raccoon over here and the bear will be on its way and never won't come back. So they go over there and they call up. Yep. They called up the zookeeper and said, ring, ring. He gets on the phone. Meow. And the zookeeper there was asking, and the city councilman, the city council dog there's people kind elsewhere, but not in Barkersville. They said, yes. And the council dog said, we like to borrow, rent out your raccoon you got there in the zoo. And he answered, wow. He said, that'll cost you, Barkersville, 20 full dog biscuits with milk sprinkled on the top. And he answered, what? And then he said, wow, do you want to borrow the raccoon for a while or not? Oh, no. We'll be over there in a few minutes. So they hurried 5 miles. They were running quick because they didn't know whether the bear would chase them or not. So Harry, the bear, the big brown with a hump on the back, a grizzly bear, didn't see it. They quick put it on a cart, and they had to roll it. They didn't have dog sleds this time of the year, so they pulled it on a rolling dog sled and pulled it up over the hill, got to Barkersville, opened up the cage, raccoon came out, and there was the bear, and the bear said, yuck! Raccoon, go away! Thou stinks! The raccoon said, not me, I'm here now. What does thou think of me, big hairy grizzly bear? You stinker, I'm gonna go elsewhere. I'll make thee move, raccoon. Raccoon just stood there, bold as anything, and said, come on, try to make my stink move. Ah! And he was on his way, and you could just see him run. And he was never more found in Barkersville anymore. And that's the news for a half of a dog biscuit with milk sprinkled on the top. Boxer told you the news about the big, hairy grizzly bear that was in Barkersville. Boxer sent you. Remember, a half of a dog biscuit with milk sprinkled on the top.
Barkersville, the hairy visitor. Please purchase some of these tracks from Jackson Taylor online and support this indie artist. This next one is Barkersville, the neighbor city. Indie artists on SongCast.
It's another great day in Barkersville. People are wondering what the big news is going to be from Barkersville by Boxer. He was on the news, and then he went up, got on the computer, took his computer with him, and flew clear up to the North Pole. And he found out when it was wintertime, it got cold, ice cold, and it was snow and snow. Then he got in an airplane and went all the way down to the South Pole, and it was warm. It was melting snow. There were icebergs, and the penguins were happy down there. Those are the other kind that lived there on Antarctica. It was summertime there. He thought that was strange. And people of the world had different things than the dogs in Barkersville, because the other kind were thinking, well, if I put a fire out here and all the smoke goes up, it's going to make all the water melt on Antarctica and North Pole and the Arctic Ocean. So the dogs at Barkersville thought they would come up with a solution to keep all the ice and the snow there. And there they were discussing this at the equator. They said, those Rottweilers got together, the smart dogs that lived there, and said, well, you know that the North Pole is winter time, and then the South Pole is summertime. And then when the South Pole is winter time, the North Pole is summertime. Then they discuss as, I got an idea. We'll talk to some of the other dog bankers in Barkersville. So they came up from the equator and they brought it up to some bankers there. He said, what you got going on this enterprise, this business? Well, banker, we believe that if you put 20,000 full dog biscuits out, we could probably put some ice machines up on the North Pole and keep the Arctic Ocean frozen. And then we could go down to the South Pole during the summertime and keep the snow and ice on Antarctica where the penguins could always live, and they could always be happy, and we could always watch them. And the banker says, well, that's 40,000 full dog biscuits. But I think we can do this just to keep business going. We'll have to have generators and other things. And they all agree. They wagged their tails, and they perked up their ears, and they tapped one another's paws, and they were on their way. They shipped up all those ice machines up on the North Pole, and they plugged them in the summertime when it was 40 degrees and 50 degrees, and those ice machines just made ice all around the Arctic Ocean. And then they flew down, left them there, and they had portable ice machines on Antarctica on the land. The penguins saw that and laughed and just went around and swam, and they even had dogs pull in the icebergs around Antarctic and pulled them in. And the penguins looked and laughed, and they enjoyed the summer. And says they came back, told Barkersville and Rottweiler's report, and the poodle mayor heard about it, and there was a discussion in the city, and they were angry. 40,000, 20,000 plus 20,000. The dog kind in Barkersville were angry. Rah, 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 rah. That's 40,000, Mayor. And the mayor held a city council there in Barkersville where all the dog kind came around, and they were angry. Rah, 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 rah. Round and round they went. And she said, let's bring this council to order. Quiet. So 40,000 dog biscuits of this banker were using for a good cause to keep the whole world cold on the pole so we don't lose the ice and snow on Antarctic Ocean, and we don't lose Antarctica, land of the ice and snow, and so we don't drown in Barkersville. Drown in Barkersville, they all said, the dog kind. What do you mean by that? Well, according to the Rottweiler smart ones, they believe that if all this melts, the Arctic Ocean and all the ice and Antarctica, we'll have to swim and dog paddle our way to find higher ground. And they all laugh. Since when? We all know here in Barkersville, when we look forward to spring, then we look forward to summer, we look forward to autumn, we look forward to winter. It happens all the time in the North Pole. And from what I heard of some of the dog cities in the south of the equator, they enjoy spring, summer, and autumn and winter too. Every year it's the same thing, just opposite from the equator. And the poodle mayor said, is this correct, Rottweiler scientist? They said, yes, Mayor, the dog kind of the Rottweilers do acknowledge that there is seasons that are different at the equator. We dog scientists have snuffed this out, and we realize that the burning of stuff to cook stuff and to keep things going is really not so serious, and we really want to say that the seasons are pretty well the same. And then another one wire-haired farmer says, look, all you have to do is look outside and point your nose and sniff the air and know how cold or how hot it is. You can even spell that simply Look. If you got any sense, you can tell in the wintertime where it says cool. And you can even spell it Kool. Cool. That's winter. And you can look Look and look and see that this is summer. You need any more dog sense than that? No, that's all right. Mary, we'll use all this 40,000 full dog biscuits, and we'll have our own ice party, and we'll fill up our dog dishes. We'll have our own kind of cold water. Let's not worry about that stuff. We could use this on Burkersville. They said, yes, wow. And they were all happy. It was another happy day in Burkersville because they realized that they weren't using their money the way they should have. And so they got along, and that's the news from Boxer, going all the way to the North Pole and the South Pole and looking at the whole year 4 season. That's the report. Boxer knows the world report. Tell him Boxer sent you for a half of a dog biscuit with milk sprinkled on top.
This next one is called Barkersville, the World Report. It's Jackson Taylor, the featured artist on this Christian Gospel Spotlight, exclusively on SongCast, the future of radio. True music discovery.
It's another great day in Barkersville. Everybody's happy, and they are so glad that they found out all about life. And it's a peaceful day again. Boxer was back at the newspaper, giving the daily news for Boxerville. And he was so glad that everything was peace and quiet until one day there was a few things that they had to do. Boxer went and did some report. There were some new additions in the newspaper there that Boxer was just typing away at his computer and hitting the enter button and making sure that it went out over the radio and over the television, and even so that they could read it with a half a dog biscuit with milk sprinkled on the top. This was an important thing. He had some people that lived there that were farmers. They raised cows. They weren't like the other kinds. Some places they rustle up what they call their doggies, but in Barkersville you don't rustle up doggies, you rustle up calves. So they would always say you don't want your other people to grow up to be cowboys. And so what Boxer heard about in a news report went like this. It says, if you don't want your other family and friends to be cowboys, it's just a day in a life where you rustle up what they call them other kinds of calves. You take one down and you take another 50 down, and then you run and you go to the rodeo all night long, and you watch the rodeo and you ride them calves and them bulls, and you run all night and all day, and then you get up and you get ready to take down another 150 of them calves down with you lasso them, and you're just so excited until the rodeo starts up. You do that day after day, day and night, and then after 6 days you get a day of rest. That's kind of different kind. But in Barkersville, that's how you don't become a cowboy. But that's what some of them try to do these days. But they warn them about that in Barkersville. There was a certain city that was far away. It was called Feline City. And they had different kind. The people kind didn't live there, but cats did. Cats? Well, there was the Feline City. And they'd always like to go make fun of them. There were some obnoxious ones there in Barkersville. Some kinds of mongrels, they just wanted to have some fun, so they started doing the paw walking over there about 5 miles away. They were getting down the trail and pretty soon as they look at one another, tail went up and says, "Hey, there's one of them cats they call a tuxedo. You know what a tuxedo cat is? It's a black, mostly, and a white little spot on the front." And one dog looked at the other dog, tail up, ears perked up. He said, "You know what I'm thinking?" "I sure do." And up the tree it went, and they just wagged their tails. Well, the Tuxedo Cat, and there was also the poodle mare there, she was upset, and she got on the telephone and called the mayor back over in Barkersville saying, "They're scaring our kind over here, and you're not doing anything. And there's still those mongrels are here again from Barkersville. We want you to come over." They called the sheriff, and the German Shepherd sheriff, and says, "Yeah, we'll try to find out where they're at." So the sheriff asked around some farmers. One was kept sheep. He was a sheepdog, and it says, "Rah, rah, 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 rah." Back and forth they went. He didn't find anything. Pretty soon he went to one other type of a farmer. He was a short-haired pointer, and he was a smart farmer. He grew corn and wheat and barley and oats. He did it all in 1 year, every single year. And he looked around and showed the sheriff, that German Shepherd sheriff. He pointed with his paw sticking out and pointed his nose out and his tail. And the sheriff knew just the trail where those mongrels would go. And he said, "Thanks, Wired Hair. I'm going to be on my way." He said to him back, "You better watch out for them. They've been moseying around my place. I don't like them walking around and doing stuff too. You go take care of them, Sheriff." But they were gone by then, and the sheriff looked around, but sure enough, they saw that the cat was about ready. He was coming down. He was so scared. He says, oh no, another dog." And it started back up that thing again. They call it a tree. And it looked, and the sheriff looked, and out came the poodle mare. Says, "Sheriff, what are you doing here now? They had left hours ago." And he said, "Well, where did they go, poodle mare?" "Well, I don't know. You'll have to find them yourself. I got other work to do." So the sheriff went on trail again looking for them mongrels. That was the story for the day. And they did everything that they could do to get those mongrels to stay away from Feline City, that city of cats. Dogs don't like cats, and cats don't like dogs. See, dogs call cats fraidy kind, and the cats call the dogs loudmouths. They just don't know when to shut up. So it was one of those days where the neighbors didn't like it too well, but they did what they could. Well, back in Barkersville, the sheriff came back, and he thought he found the mongrels. They snuck off, and they said, "Come back here." And he grabbed him by the collar. "What are you two doing? What are you doing over at Feline City and scaring all those residents? You're going to get us in trouble." "Oh, we're just having fun, Sheriff. Can't we have any fun? I want you to know to stay away from that city, or I'll have you in jail." I said, "Oh, well, whoa." They laughed. "We'll be all right, Sheriff." "Well, I'm going to make sure. You're going to come with me, and I'm going to put you in jail for a day to make sure you don't do that again." And then they were in jail. Well, that was news for the day. There's all kinds of things that were going on, but the good thing was Feline City got along with Barkersville for once. That's the news from Barkersville. Just a half a biscuit will help you to get the news that you're really looking for in all the city and the nation and the world everywhere from Boxer. Boxer sent you a half a dog biscuit with milk sprinkled on the top.
You are streaming Spotlight on SongCast. My name's Joe Cleon, and we are highlighting the talents of Jackson Taylor. First was some storytelling about the city of Barkersville. We just heard Barkersville, the neighbor city. This next one is Barkersville, the city of dogs. It's Jackson Taylor, the featured artist on SongCast.
There's a city in a place far away in one's own lifetime called Barkersville. It's a city where dogs all live, all kinds of dogs, small dogs, large dogs, medium-sized dogs, dogs that have tails. There's Chihuahuas, and then there's Boxers and German Shepherds and Yorkies and all kinds of, there's the kind that watch over other kinds and all there. I can't list them all right now, but they're all important. And there's a certain editor there who knows all the news there in Barkersville. And by Barkersville, they know all the news there in the city of all these dogs. His name is Boxer. He's the one that takes care of all the news. He's a news editor there for the journal there in Barkersville. He's the one that gets on the typewriter, types out all the news, puts it on the front page, and sends it out. Well, news got about, and there was a German Shepherd who was sheriff of the city of Barkersville. And they had a problem. It was a thief that was there. This was a thief that was doing terrible, terrible things to the people of Barkersville. They were stealing the little puppies. The little people in Barkersville. People aren't dogs, are they? But in Barkersville, everybody's a little bit different. They call one another dogs, but the puppies, they meant so much to them. It was all their life, all their little tails, their little paws, everything. The sheriff had a problem. And this German Shepherd sheriff had to go and find this scoundrel, this evil dog, Growler. He was threatening all the people, taking away their puppies, and even wanting to even take all the bankers' money that they saved up for a long, long time. People wonder what was next. So the sheriff there in Barkersville went to the only one he knew in all the city of that dog city. Yep, he went straight to the source. He went to Boxer, the editor-in-chief of all Barkersville. And they talked for a while, wagged their tail, took their paws, looked around and said, well, the sheriff was the first to talk and said, "Rah, rah, rah, rah." And Boxer says, "Rah, rah, rah." That meant this is big news. That is, the sheriff had made mention of all the problem of Growler was doing and everything. He was taking all the puppies all to himself and hiding them somewhere. And people were crying out and telling the sheriff, saying, "What are you doing, Sheriff? Aren't you doing the work? You can see that star there on around your collar. We got to have our puppies back. We want to enjoy everything that we are here in Barkersville. And something's not getting done." And the loud talk was everywhere. There were she-dogs and he-dogs and he-dogs, and then just, What? My puppy's gone, and what am I going to do? And then there was all kinds of discussion. And, "Sheriff, we're going to take that away from you if you don't find that criminal Growler. He's threatened to take everything we've got. He's even wanting to break into our bankers and take away our hard-earned money." Well, Boxer heard it, took down some notes, and they said their goodbyes, and there was the sheriff. He was there with ears perked up, ready to listen to anything. Boxer quickly got to the typewriter, and he typed in on the front page there in Barkersville,
and he was typing away. It was a lot of work. He put in every detail on every single word, phrase, and sentence and paragraph. It was put in bold letters. We must find Growler. And so the news got out on the radio, on the television. The talk was everywhere. There was kind of fear there in Barkersville. Some of them had their tails behind their 2 feet on the back. Others were rip-roaring mad that Growler, that evil, evil dog, did all those things to those puppies and wanted to break into the bankers' stuff and take even their savings all away. But Boxer, the editor there in Barkersville, typed it, put it on the internet, and everybody was talking about it. He was so kind. He made sure everybody got the news. He knew it was important, and he just made a decision, said, usually I sell my news for a whole biscuit with milk sprinkled on top. This time I think I'm going to break this in half and do a 50%er, and I'll just be a half a biscuit with milk sprinkled on top. That was big news. That was amazing that Boxer did this after all the hard work he did in Barkersville. Well, the news got out. I got to tell you another time. That's the news from Barkersville. Tell him Boxer knows what's going on.
Jackson Taylor with Stories of Barkersville. If you like what you hear, there's plenty more online. Make sure that you purchase some tracks and support Jackson Taylor. Now we're going to get into another side of Jackson Taylor, some of the inspirational music. He is an amazing vocalist, and we're going to hear some tracks right now, including this first one, Jesus Paid It All, from Jackson Taylor on SongCast.
I hear the Savior say, Thy strength indeed is small. Child of weakness, watch and pray. Find in me thine all in all. Jesus paid it all to him I owe. Sin had left a crimson stain. He washed it white as snow. Lord, now indeed I find thy power and thine alone can change the leper's spots and melt the heart of stone. Jesus paid it all to him I owe. Sin had left a crimson stain. He washed it white as snow. For nothing good have I, whereby thy grace to claim. I'll wash my garments white in the blood of Calvary's Lamb. Jesus paid it all to him I owe. Sin had left a crimson stain. He washed it white as snow. And when before the throne I stand in him complete, Jesus died my soul to save. My lips shall still repeat, Jesus paid it all to him I owe. Sin had left a crimson stain. He washed washed it white as snow.
This is the Christian Gospel Spotlight. Our featured artist is Jackson Taylor. That track we just heard was Jesus Paid It All. Please purchase some tracks and support this indie artist. Amazon, iTunes, wherever you buy music. Here is another great one. This is The Light of the World is Jesus. It's Jackson Taylor on SongCast.
The whole world was lost in the darkness of sin. The light of the world is Jesus. Like sunshine at noonday, his glory shone in. The light of the world is Jesus. Come to the light, 'tis shining for thee. Sweetly his light has dawned upon me. Once I was blind, but now I can see. The light of the world is Jesus. No darkness have we who in Jesus abide. The light of the world is Jesus. We walk in the light when we follow our guide. The light of the world is Jesus. Come to the light, 'tis shining for thee. Sweetly his light has dawned upon me. Once I was blind, but now I can see. The light of the world is Jesus. Ye dwellers in darkness with sin-blinded eyes, the light of the world is Jesus. Go wash at his bidding and light will arise. The light of the world is Jesus. Come to the light, 'tis shining for thee. Sweetly the light has dawned upon me. Once I was blind, but now I can see. The light of the world is Jesus. No need of the sunlight in heaven, we're told. The light of the world is Jesus. The Lamb is a light in the city of gold. The light of the world is Jesus. Come to the light, 'tis shining for thee. Sweetly the light has dawned upon me. Once I was blind, but now I can see. The light of the world is Jesus.
Jackson Taylor, The Light of the World is Jesus, ending off this Christian Gospel Spotlight. Over 100 hymns, lots of music, lots of tracks to choose from Jackson Taylor. He is a very prolific artist. If you like what you heard, if you want to support a hardworking indie artist, please head online, Amazon, iTunes, wherever you buy music, wherever you buy tracks, and purchase some from Jackson Taylor. Support indie artists, support hardworking musicians, and thank you so much for listening to SongCast.